Modani lefaneka Modani 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 lefaneka
So we are grateful for the miracle of Zoom. Allows us to come together and really create a field of intention. And it's something that I keep on learning about and being blown away by, and just knowing what the power of our collective prayer is. And it's easy to forget or to lose our sense of what the potential is of us coming together. But I want to keep bringing it back because that's kind of been like one of the great life lessons for me, is that I need to work at sort of purifying my own field, my own vessel or channel for the God flow, and at the same time really connect that to the larger field of intention, and that when we come together, it is more than the sum of more than the sum of its parts, really. You know, there's something that happens. There's some kind of a synergy. And it happens when we surrender to practice, when we give ourselves, and when we come in service to everyone who's here. So I love to just take a minute to look around the Zoom room, to give yourself in generosity to those who have shown up for this practice. And if you can show your face, that's so that we can beam our love into your face. That's great. And some of these faces might be familiar to you, and some of them are new.
Brand new. There's a brand new face.
Very brand new
Carrie
face.
and Poet. Wow.
And but we wanted just to say we are here in service to one another, and we're going to find what we have inside ourselves and through us to be able to give, to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts, and to create something together. And so what I wanted to offer on this Kzoom. So the Kzoom is a practice we've been doing since March. We have been Kzooming with the sense of like, oh my God, we have to get together. This is our practice is so important, and we can hold each other in our practice and lift each other up. And so the idea of Kzoom is that it's an extension of a spiritual community that was started back in 2004 of a leadership training, and every couple years there was a new group added to it, and then we all kind of graduated into this community together of prayer and intention.
And that was Kzoom, KZ for short.
So that's why it's called
Kzoom.
If you
It's a
didn't,
KZ Zoom.
know, Kzoom. Kzoom.
Kzoom.
And so after, at a certain point, we were, as a spiritual community, somebody would always, ask to, would you pray for me? This is what I'm going through. Very often it was a surgery, but anything else, or maybe an opportunity, a transition point in life. And I decided that, that after a while I thought, I really don't understand. How do we pray for each other? What does it mean? What theology is it based on? And I wanted to make that explicit, and I wanted to do a practice that was precise. And so we came up with this idea called PI, Prayer Intention Experiment. And for a couple years now, we started to do these pies, and the way that we would do it is one person would be the recipient of the pie, and with that person, we would craft an intention that was totally like tuning in to the potential of this moment, because every crisis is an opportunity. And with that person, we would choose a practice, we would choose a particular time, and really an intention to put out there. And then everybody got that person's picture and a particular time, and for 10 minutes, we called up that intention and chanted that chant to them. And at the end, we moved into gratefulness for the circle that we had created. And I always said it's not just for the person we're praying for, it's also for the field itself, for the building of this field of intention and our connection to one another when we pray together. And that was my intention for Pi. And just recently I sent out an email to my list and said, what did you learn from this? What did you learn from it? How has it changed the way that you pray? And I got some kind of amazing answers in a discussion. And I thought, I want to continue exploring the ideas of how we pray for one another, because I don't believe that there's some, guy up there in the sky who is like I'm asking something from, and if I ask exactly right, and if I'm worthy enough, I'll get it. It's like a dispensary kind of a thing. I don't really believe that. But I do believe in the power of prayer. And I wanted to really sort of step into a new paradigm and understand, well, what is happening here? There's magic happening. There's energy moving. And so this evening I chose 4 different practices that represent 4 kind of principles of healing that I depend on. Kind of use and lean into, and really start to just constitute a kind of a foundation for how we pray for each other and how we create this field of intention that I think is so powerful. So I want to say that this moment, August 6th, is the 75th anniversary of the dropping the bomb on Hiroshima. And today, Rachel and I drove up to Los Alamos, which was the place where
the bomb was
invented. And we stood by the statues of
Oppenheimer and General Leslie Groves.
And we chanted, really to the world. But we wanted to just tune into the power of this moment. And there are other, our response to suffering in the world really is what puts us on a path of both compassion and the God power. And there's so many times where something happens and I just shut it off because I don't know what to do with this. So recently there was this big bomb that exploded in Beirut. I just didn't know what to do inside myself. There was this way that, and I was talking today to Jacqueline, who's here on the Kzoom with us, because I know she has some connections to Beirut and knows a lot of people there, and I realized, I can't close my heart here. I need to use this moment to open up to a flow that is meant to flow through us. And every time we close ourselves off to some suffering because we can't bear it, we're also closing ourselves up. We're closing ourselves from the God flow that wants to pour through us. And it takes some practice not to shut down, really, and to keep that flow moving. So the first practice that I wanted to do with you is something that I wrote years ago because of a friend of mine who's a great scholar of the Zohar, which is kind of a core mystical text in Judaism. Her name is Melila Hellner, and she said to me, there's this line in the Zohar that is repeated and repeated and repeated.
The most repeated line in all of the Zohar.
In the Zohar. And she said, would you write a chant for me for that line so that we can really unlock its mystery? Because the characters in the Zohar say this to each other all the time. And they say, V'nahar yotzei me'Eden. There is this river that is now flowing forth from Eden, from the source of delight. It is flowing forth. Lashkot et hagan. And it is flowing forth in order to water the garden. And the garden is this world that we're in. And in all my healing practices, what I notice is that wherever that flow is not flowing, and it can get stopped up in so many different ways, that I need to remember that there is this river. It is available. It is there for me. and I need to open to it. I need to become receptive. And the name, the word Kabbalah means receptive. So we as Kabbalists are the receptive ones. We're the ones who open to that flow of the river that is flowing. So
now.
So I want to ask us to lay on the altar of the chant, some of the heaviness that is on our hearts from the suffering that's in the world. And everybody may have a different place, that they're laying on it. But and then we'll use this chant just to come into the realization of who we are, each of us, and who we are together. That we are a channel for that divine flow, which has always been flowing.
V'nahar yotzei me'eden lahashkoret hagan. V'nahar yotzei me'eden lahashkoret hagan. V'nahar yotzei me'eden lahashkoret hagan. V'nahar yotzei me'eden lahashkoret hagan.
Become receptive.
V'nahar yotzei me'eden lahashkoret hagan. 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 V'nahar yotzei me'eden ונהר יוצא מעדן להשקות את הגן. 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 ונהר יוצא מעדן להשקות את הגן.
I invite you to close your eyes, bring your attention to the breath, and feel that breath as the river that is coming straight from Eden, straight from that divine place, pouring through us. And as we breathe in, we're receiving that flow, and as we breathe out, we're sending it into the world. And with each breath, we're becoming a clearer and clearer channel for that flow. And I invite you to bring back that whatever it is that was the heaviness on your heart, of the place of suffering in the world, and direct the flow through you there to there. With all confidence in the grace unfolding through us. And I invite you to open your eyes and look at the faces here and see if you can bring that flow through to the faces that you see.
Wonderful faces. I really felt that stream of well-being going through us as we were chanting. Oh my goodness, I know you all felt it too. In the quantum field.
So after I composed that chant, I would walk by the bathroom and hear Rockmill. He would chant it in the shower every day.
It's the perfect place to do this chant, because you're in that stream of well-being. The Binahar Yotzei Ma'eden. So, you too can do this.
Too. So, and I think a point of all of these practices is that each of us becomes just a healing presence in the world that needs it. And, we get healed through that, through becoming that healing presence. And we open up to that flow that is flowing. When many years ago, when Eilat Chaim, the Jewish Renewal Retreat Center first started, I was invited to come and teach. And always in like November, Jeff Roth would call me up and said, "Okay, tell me what you want to teach," as I'm putting the brochure together. And in that November, I got a very clear message that I was going to be teaching about healing. And so I told him that. I wrote up a very
Ambitious
and vague description. And then I said, what? I said, I don't know anything about this. What am I going to do? And I didn't, it was like, how am I going to plan this class? What am I going to do? And the months, went by, and sort of searching my heart to say, and I felt a little bit kind of at a loss, and I, sort of said, okay, I'm going to wing it. This was my guidance to teach this. And so we got together, this group, and maybe some of you were even there at Elat Chaim then. And so I realized that, that we as a group could become a mishkan, a channel, or both a receiving and a transmitting. So I worked to sort of build this mishkan, this sanctuary between us. And then at the end of the class, one person lay down in the middle of the room, and we all surrounded them, and I said to them,
David Blumenstein was there and received a great healing. All right, we have a testimonial.
So we lay the person down, and then I said to everyone, this is how we'll build the healing field, like we're going to attune ourselves, not to who's lying there, but the blueprint of who's lying there. That I believe that each of us has this kind of a divine blueprint of possibility that is in our field. And if, and I said to everyone, tune into that blueprint and just take it in and reflect it back. Yeah. And we built kind of this field of intention by just attuning to that higher blueprint and shining it back through the chant. And the chant that we used said Maya Kar Chastecha Elohim, because what it means is, oh, how precious is your love, God. So, and your precious love is embodied in each and every one of us in a different way. That there's a God light shining through each of us, and we are each a different refraction of that God light, and we can shine. So what I said is, like, we're not giving that person anything. What we're doing is we're receiving that particular God light from them, and we're shining it back to them with absolute kind of loyalty to what we receive. We're going to shine it right back. And what happened was we started to build, to raise the vibration of the field. And in that higher vibration of the fields, some amazing miracles happened. And definitely in that field, people's spirit guides showed up in force and did the work that they needed to do. And it was, this was a great lesson for me, that I am not doing this healing. I am actually tuning into something that is beautiful, unique, and a God light that is shining through each of us. And then I can, if I'm perceptive enough and loyal to what I perceive, I can shine it back, and that will raise that vibration of, and healing can happen. And I remember actually that week someone came in on crutches, and they left their crutches in the yurt. So, But I wanted to do this practice with you as just a sense of remembering this truth, that everything that we're trying to heal, if we're looking for what's wrong with it, then, and trying to fix it. Yeah. That is, it's sometimes it's a drain of the energy. But if we're looking for that spark of the divine in whatever we're trying to, whatever one, it's like allowing the transformation to happen because of the raising of this vibration, the recognition of the divinity in whoever is before us. So if you want to hold someone in your heart as you do this, you can do that, and
or yourself if you need
or
healing.
Yourself, yeah. And what we'll try to do is to tune in that blueprint and just shine it back. And there's 3 parts to the chant, so Rockmill will do one part, and I'll go back and forth between the other 2 parts. But, so it's Maya Hastecha Maya Hastecha Maya Hastecha Maya Elohim,
Maya
Elohim, Maya Elohim, Maya Elohim. So in the silence, whoever presence you find before you, just keep doing the practice in the silence with the breath, breathing in that unique God light, that kind of sense of perfection, of the blueprint, and breathing it back on the exhale, just breathing it back to them. Breathing in, taking in that God light, breathing it back. You never know who's going to get healed. So when you're ready, again, you can open your eyes, take a look around. There's, in the practice of healing, I want to be open to surprise. I want to have enough humility that I don't know what's supposed to be, and enough faith to know that I can bring myself fully in the presence of suffering, to open up possibility out of this, from this moment, and to feel this, one of the hardest things, I guess, is this non-attachment to outcome. Like to say, I'm not the one deciding how things are, but what I can do is open up the places of blockage in me, in the world, and allow this divine flow to come through, and to be an instrument, and not just me, but us. To feel myself connected. I call it to all of the light workers of the world, to all of the healing presences that are here, in this circle and in every circle concentric out into the world, who are also doing this work of healing. We need to know each other, to be working in concert, to feeling that connection, that harmony of our being with all of that healing force. And then we let go, and we open to the mystery, and we let ourselves be surprised. And I said, you never know who's going to get healed, because often when we were around the circle, the person we were healing, somebody who was around the circle was the one who got healed. It's like because that energy is moving through us. So, like, what better thing to do with our lives, really, than be part of this, and also to connect with the spirit of hopefulness, which is different than saying, this is exactly how I want it, God, but hopefulness is a kind of an openness and a faith that something is unfolding through us right now. The third practice I wanted to bring is called sitting on your throne, or sometimes I call it inner sovereignty. And it comes from Psalm 97, and it's this idea that in order to be that instrument of healing, of righteousness into the world, we need to find our own place to sit back on this throne that I call the throne of inner sovereignty, which is really God's throne. And instead of like being out there trying to like make stuff happen, sometimes it doesn't happen until we sit back and feel ourselves connected to this power that moves in the world through us. And so the chant says, Tzedek u'mishpat mechon kisech. So this throne is held up by our commitment to justice and to impeccability. Like what I need to do is sit in that field of that intention, that commitment, and when I do, then the second part, it says, Eish lefanayach telech. There is this fire that is unleashed. The fire of transformation begins to move in the world. And it's almost counterintuitive because often we're coming out of our anxiety rather than our sovereignty. And the anxiety is the part of us that says there's something really wrong here that I need to fix. But the place of sovereignty there says I'm sitting back on my throne, completely connected to those qualities of tzedek, of mishpat, of justice and impeccability. And when I do, there's something that happens. I am guided. I am inspired. There is a movement in the world in response to that sovereignty. And I've seen it happen over and over again. And it is a better strategy than anxiety. And the more I sit there on my throne, the more that I feel connected to that sense of the greater will, not my will, but the greater will of which I am, a part. So I want to chant this chant, and again, if you want to place on the altar some situation in the world that feels hopeless to you, some place where you go to despair, and instead of going there, we'll go someplace else. We'll go to that place of sitting back on our throne. So whatever is kind of feels wrong to you, let's put it aside, put it down for a moment, and take this step. And this is for those of you who are shrutying with me. It's with an F and a C.
צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, איש לפניי תלך, איש לפניי צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסא. אש לפני תלך, אש לפני תלך.
So I invite you to sit back on your throne of inner sovereignty. Just breathe into that sense of being connected to the God flow and letting go of your despair and your anxiety. Opening to the long view. Feeling the presence of that fire of transformation that's moving in the world. Okay. So there's one more practice, a healing practice or principle of healing that I want to bring to you. And after this practice, we can take a few minutes to meet each other, to take a few minutes to be in small groups, just to say, to share who we are and maybe what touched us this evening. Because whenever you can, find words for it. It really kind of helps to
Anchor it in.
Anchor it
Yeah.
in. But this practice that I call breakthrough comes from Isaiah, and it says ivru b'sha'arim. Go through the gates, panu derech ha'am, clear the way for the people. And the way that that I've experienced this practice is that it opens me to the possibility that this moment is a threshold, that I am standing in a doorway, and actually every moment is a threshold moment, but I'm not always awake enough to notice it. And to say that every moment is a threshold moment is that as I stand here at this intersection of everything that I've been through and all that is calling me, as I stand here, there is this way that I stand outside of time. I stand in this liminal space in which all possibilities are open, and if I can really root myself in that place, then when I step forward, I can step forward into a new world, a new possibility, and that's different than where I've been. And very, very often it's like, I feel like in the practice of healing, it's like about getting out of a certain groove of expectation and kind of self-understanding that keeps us limited to what we experienced before. And when we can really know this moment as a threshold moment, I feel like it opens up this incredible kind of place of imagination and creativity, and it has some energy to it, So often I've done this practice. I've done it standing, but you can do it sitting too. But it's just about really rooting yourself in this moment in your life. And when I do it, I feel as if there's a wind behind me that is, I call it like all the mistakes I've ever made are like this wind behind me. All the experiences, everything I've ever learned, it's all sending me to something that I don't know yet, that I will be surprised by. And as I stand in this threshold moment, I'm also feeling this pull of my, of where I am being called to this much larger being that I am, but I forget. And so I stand in that threshold, and in the silence after the chant, I just take a step through that. So feel yourself rooted here in this moment. And Ivru, it's also the word for the Hebrew people, the people who do that crossing. Ivru, let's just have an intention and a sense that something's clearing for us. If we can be present to this moment and its thresholdness.
Anu Hebrew Bashari Anu Derek Ha'am Hebrew
Once more.
Hebrew Bashari Anu Derek Ha'am Hebrew Bashari Anu Derek Ha'am.
Close your eyes, feel yourself on that, standing at that threshold, feeling behind you is the wind of the past, and in front of you the pull of who you're called to be, that expanded being. And with the next breath, imagine stepping through that gateway, expanding. So we are all such healers, such beloveds. Again, I want to take a look around the Zoom room to see these shining faces, and because I love you so much, I want you to meet each other to keep on building this field and doing this work together, because I think the work that we started in Kzoom, we're continuing it, we're expanding it, and creating this healing field that the world needs so much. And so
if you can stay, we would love to have
so we'll
you.
take about 10 minutes. We'll move into small groups, and I'll just say one thing, just that the way that we are living our lives now is we're depending on your donations through our website to be able to do this work. And I actually spend the whole week preparing for this Kzoom, even though it's just 1 hour, but it's really kind of central to my life. I want to keep doing this work, so please, if this touches you, go to my website and give a donation. And thank you.
Yeah.
And so anybody who's leaving, I'm going to ask you to leave now.
Bye, we love you. See you
And
next
then,
week.
We'll take 10 minutes for the people who are left to go to the breakout rooms and
Let's see what we end up with here.
So if we have, say there was, if there was
60,
if there was
58.
that would, how many rooms should we do?
20,
10?
10,
10 or 11.
12.
10 or 11, 12.
Okay, I'm going to try 13
13.
rooms.
We have smaller
And
groups.
everybody stay here and
Here we go. And we'll
then
come
we'll
back.
come back.
Yeah.
Go join your room.
Join your beloved cohort.
What did I say, 13 rooms?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody went.
All right. Good.
Okay, so what time is it? 7:03. So I'm going to give them 10 minutes.
Okay.
Like mostly like 4 people to a room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good number.
Well, maybe I should give them 15 minutes. If they want to. Because in the past, some people have. So we have 13 rooms of 4 people each.
Good.
How much is that?
That's 52 people.
Yeah.
4 times 13.